Yeah, I know what you're thinking right now. Is it really necessary to talk about such a low-hanging fruit, or let's say a fallen or rotten fruit? Yes, it is. Miss Katie did a few things that I just have to talk about, and please don't come at me with the she's irrelevant, stop giving her attention argument. Please just keep it for yourself. Watch until the end, and then, only then you can tell me that you are for or against me talking about this. This video will go over 5 controversies she was in, all in different weights, but all of them are equally disgusting. By the way, I'll have to talk around some words, otherwise my video won't stay up for very long, meaning that it would be put on 18 plus really quickly if I don't do that. We'll talk about her racism, her exploiting real life tragedies, her belittling people who have gone through the worst experiences, her statements on children, and her being a fraud when it comes to being an animal rights activist. Timestamps will be linked, and let's get into this. It has been pretty well documented that vegan teacher is racist. I mean, we all saw her video with the doll spelling the N-word.
Does this girl seem to you like she might be naturally intelligent, gorgeous, generous, exemplary, and radiant? She looks like she could be that to me.
Which just makes me wonder, why does she out of all people think that she can reclaim the word even though she has zero melanin in her skin? Seriously, her skin is just Snow White. No, not that Snow White. We do not talk about that Snow White, ever. But anyways, even before that, she had a lot of instances of racist behavior on her big TikTok account. One example is when she made a video towards a vegan chef who happened to have dark skin. And even though he was vegan, Katie just belittled him, and to put the icing on the racism cake, she put a picture of a monkey behind him. She basically compared him to a monkey just for having dark skin. I can't show it due to her TikTok being banned since 2021. Another instance was her behavior in the Black Lives Matter movement. In the weeks after George Floyd died due to police brutality, she released a song called I Can't Breathe, where she was just describing how animals are killed, always ending with I can't breathe. You heard that right. She was using an important movement like Black Lives Matter for her own gain, and even nowadays she shows racist behavior. The most obvious one is when she talks about a black person in her videos. When she talks about a black person, she always brings up slavery, and speciesism would be the first form of racism, which strikes me personally as really racist. And with that I mean statements that I would hear from the alt-right. And she even defends her usage of the N-bomb. She recently did that in a community post with very bad arguments, like that people use the N-word to refer to each others as friends. But what she fails to mention is that the people who use it also have dark skin. They can repurpose it due to history reasons that I'm not going to go into in this video. And quickly going back to the doll video, in her interview with Carbon, she outright said that she was proud of that video. You heard that right, she was proud of herself saying the N-word with a hard R.
Would you like to prove that I've done this?
Yes, the video is still up on your YouTube channel. I want you to take it down.
Yeah, I'm proud of it. I'm proud of it.
You are proud of it. Okay.
Because it is.
So, okay, if you're proud of being a racist, that's fine.
So I'm never going to see it. I'm not racist. I think racism is stupid. It's not logical. It's not scientific. Makes absolutely no sense.
Okay, sir.
I really don't know why she thinks that she can just reclaim the N-word, a word that was used to attack black people, even though Miss Katie over here had absolutely zero melanin in her skin. No, less than zero melanin. Sorry for that ramble here, but if she tries to justify her usage of the word with such flimsy arguments, then I just cannot stay silent there. Anyways, on to the next chapter. Something that vegan teacher likes to do to promote her vegan message is using real life tragedies. There are so many instances of that. I'll give a rundown of a few of the many times she used a real life tragedy, and trust me, this is gonna get gross. So let's start with historical tragedies. For the 20th anniversary of 9/11, she made a video arguing if it was a good thing that people died when the Twin Towers fell. As someone who did months worth of research on the 9/11 attacks and how it came to the collapses of the World Trade Center towers, I find such a statement so disgusting. There were around 1,000 people who were trapped in the North Tower due to the fact that all the stairwells and elevators were taken out, because the plane had hit the first tower right in the middle of the building. The deaths in the North Tower alone on that day would have been the deadliest act of terrorism in history, but there were so many more deaths. Due to the plane crashes and the collapses of the towers, 2,996 people died on that that day. How can anyone who isn't insane even argue that it was a good day? It was one of the worst days in human history, and she even doubled down on it 2 years later, and funnily enough, my response to it was the first video on my channel to surpass the 1k views. What a funny coincidence. But Miss Katie doesn't care about people dying anyways. I say this because when the asteroid tragedy happened in 2021, when multiple people, including children, died to a crowd crush, Miss Katie decided to make a video the next day, using this very sad tragedy for her own gain, saying how Travis Scott would be an animal abuser and that children shouldn't play video games, that they should help save the planet. And now hold on to your seats because this is very disgusting. She fails the people who died on that day, in that tragedy.
What will it take? I don't know. I can tell you this though. All of those people at the concert failed ethics class. They failed to understand that they should not be going to any kind of concert by somebody who is being paid by McDonald's or any of these other places.
Shut your fucking mouth! No problem, John. Shut the fuck up, you cunt!
Seriously, Miss Katie, how can you look into the mirror? Do you have no empathy for anyone? Because I guess you don't, otherwise you wouldn't do shit like this. You say those people failed ethics class, but what ethics do you even stand for? But that isn't even the end of it. When a famous person dies, she will try to milk the fuck out of that person's name. She already did this with Betty White or the Pope. I even did a response to the vegan teacher for the Pope video. I'll link it in the description if you are interested. But the most disgusting thing she did in that regard was when the Queen died. She really milked the Queen dry for content when the Queen died in 2022. I am not kidding, she did 5 shorts in the day after that, shit talking her every single time, even during her funeral. Do I even have to explain my problem with that? Nothing, and I mean nothing, is too terrible for her to make content about, which leads me to the next chapter. And if you thought this was bad already, now it's getting really disgusting. I recommend that women who have had terrible experiences should better skip the next section, because it's getting extremely bad. Yeah, this is really bad. I think we all can agree that there are certain topics you shouldn't use to fuel any kind of agenda. And in my opinion, sexual assault is one of those topics, since people on the receiving end of such treatment have lasting psychological issues. It's a topic where it has been widely agreed upon that we shouldn't make fun of, and that such a topic should be handled with dignity and respect. Well, it seems like the wicked vegan witch doesn't agree with that, since there have been multiple instances of her comparing animal breeding to sexual assault against humans. And as if that wasn't tone deaf enough from her, she decided to belittle multiple people who have gone through sexual assault.
Imagine pinning somebody down. How would you like to be pinned down and touched inappropriately? How would you like to be? Anyone who's ever been sexually assaulted should especially be vegan. And anybody who knows of a victim of sexual assault, you should all be vegan. In fact, everyone should be vegan because you know that this is wrong.
She really likes to do this a lot, especially towards victims of such things. Take for example this video where she responds to a commenter who stood up to her and told her to keep her mouth shut when it comes to sexual assault. The teacher responded with this.
This is in response to Mimi, who says, as a person who has been sexually harassed and assaulted, it is very offensive to me when you compare animal breeding to rape. And I'd like it if you stop doing that, please. My response to you, Mimi, is that that is exactly what you are paying people to do. If you didn't like being sexually harassed and assaulted, why are you paying people to offend animals and to do it to them? What you're saying makes no sense. You can literally stop every time you go shopping. Put veggies, fruits, nuts, and seeds in your shopping cart, Mimi. Peace begins on your plate. So open up your heart to the animals. Stop being a hypocrite. Be kind and be vegan. Start now.
Yeah, this goes without saying. Fuck you, Miss Katie. Of course she wouldn't dare to say this to any person in real life, because she knows that if she'd say this to a real person, all her teeth would be knocked out in an instant. But even then, why do you think that this is such a good thing to say, Miss Katie? Because saying something like this is just unforgivable, in any way. And as if saying that to commenters isn't enough, she has been harassing Call Me Chris, belittling her for a sexual assault, even implying that Chris lied about that. Play the clip.
This is Call Me Chris. She's an actor. She's such a good actor, she can play at least 30 different characters. Here, She's talking about something that happened to her a long time ago. My question is this: if you don't like the fact that you were pinned down and assaulted, why do you pay people to do this to other females? You make fun of animal defenders who are defending cows, chickens, pigs, lambs, turkeys, all kinds of other females who are abused in the industry.
And why did she even start this harassment campaign against Chris? Well, it was because of one of the pettiest reasons I've ever seen. You see, in 2021, Commie Chris made a response to Miss Katie, and in it she pointed out that Miss Katie used non-vegan markers, Crayola markers to be exact.
Excuse me, let's play that back actually. What's in your hand there, vegan teacher? What is this? Is that a Crayola marker? Oh no, we're about to expose the vegan teacher. Let's do some research. Are Crayola markers vegan? We shall find the truth. It will be shocking for some people to know that creating crayons requires the usage of animal fat. Crayola crayons are not vegan? Oh no. I have exposed the vegan teacher.
And because of this one joke on vegan teacher's expense, vegan teacher decided to attack Chris in every way she can. Because, as fellow YouTuber Random Show had pointed out, she has a huge grudge against people who call her out. And vegan teacher attacked Commie Chris and belittled her sexual assault for 4 years by now. Well done, vegan teacher, you're a disgusting little... Sorry, but I really get into a bad mood from this topic. I know when talking about her there are some triggering topics, but wow, this is just hard. Katie, you are belittling an experience which is traumatic for people. You can't defend this. This is inexcusable, this is disgusting, and you're actually vile to do this. And also, in October you had your TikTok livestream banned because someone whipped out their dick in front of you. And you have the audacity to say that it was a sexual assault and that people should feel sorry for you. So let me get this straight. You make fun of other sexual assaults, yet you want others to feel sorry for you for a supposed sexual assault that wasn't even a sexual assault? How hypocritical are you? Yes, the person who did that in your live stream was wrong for doing it, but how can you equate that to a sexual assault? So TLDR, she's fine with making fun of sexual assault victims, but she has a problem when it happens to her, or when she claims that it happened to her. And if you thought that this was the worst thing that she did, well no, that is in the next section. Over her time on the internet, Katie has been under fire multiple times for her inappropriate statements about children, even gaining the nickname That Vegan Predator. And the reason why people are giving her so much pushback for this is because of a simple reason. The innocence of children is a thing we all deeply care about. We all want to protect that, and Vegan Teacher knows that she has a primarily child audience. And that makes her actions all the more gross. Let's start off with her TikTok. She had an account called Meet Teacher Miss Tofu, and on that account she was teaching sex lessons on TikTok. And on her main account she did a bunch of suggestive things, like recording a video fully naked. And the most notorious thing was the stuff she said about Tommy Innit, who was 16 at the time, mind you. She was always talking to him about finding girls, and one of those duets was the reasons she was banned from TikTok. She responded to a video where Tommy showed off his play buttons and she just rolled a clip.
Hello TikTok, I got 2 more golden play buttons today that I'm going to show to girls if they come round. Because they do.
Tommy, the nice vegan girls don't want to see your buttons. But if you want them to play with your buttons, you're going to have to show them your fruits and your vegetables.
And for that she was rightfully banned from TikTok. How can she even think that this would be a good idea to say? She was 56 at the time. There was a 40-year age gap. Of course everyone will see you as a predator after this, because you made a sexual comment towards a minor. And now we get to the stuff she said about children on YouTube. So she knows that her audience is 10 to 15 years old according to a poll she made on YouTube. So she can't talk away out of the things that she said. So let's begin. In multiple community posts, she tends to post pictures of dead animals, and multiple children commented at how disgusting and disturbing they think it is. And if you thought this was already bad, it just gets progressively worse and worse. In a community post that I cannot show, she said that people of all age groups should be allowed to be filmed naked. She also meant children, which would mean that she would indirectly support the production of CP. I don't know what went through her head that convinced her to post something like that. She also told children to text her on Facebook. For what? How the fuck should I know? And she also said that her followers should send her pictures of their feces.
Oh! Ew! Dude! What the fuck?
You see, it is suspected that she has a thing for feces, if you catch my drift, so it would be somewhat of a Dan Schneider thing. How sick are you, Katie? And in 2024, she did something that was pretty much the last piece of evidence for people to call her a predator. In early 2024, she made a video talking about a TikTok that showed a supposed aunt with her new nephew who was filmed eating ribs. Response was in the typical vegan teacher way until around halfway in, where she suddenly compared a child eating a rib to the sexual assault of a baby. And of course, because of this, the video was mass reported until YouTube took it down. And before anyone says that it was just a form of rage bait, that argument immediately falls apart because 1 year after that situation, she made a video doubling down on her statement. I am not kidding, by the way. Keep in mind, this woman used to be a teacher, and an elementary school teacher at that. I don't want to fall into the random of slander, but given the things she said about children, I hope that there will be a criminal investigation one day. Anyways, let's just discuss one more topic, and a topic that isn't as bad as this one. So, now we get on our final stop on this train, and we talk about her not being a full-on animal rights activist. If you just look through her channel for 1 minute, you will see that she actually doesn't give a shit about animals. She had made multiple statements that outright contradict the overall definition of animal rights activism. She made a statement saying that certain animals don't deserve to live just because they aren't herbivores. She has even once said that it is okay to kill mosquitoes, which completely goes against the whole meaning of the animal rights movement. People in that movement normally believe that all animals have a right to live. And also when it comes to animal products, she has showed that she isn't morally consistent. She has only been using her own moral convenience. She condemns the usage of honey, but she supports the usage of almonds, which is another animal product that is also gained by bees. She's against milking cows or cutting off the wool from sheep, which shows how uneducated she is. The udders from a cow are filling up on their own, and if they are milked, the udders can overflow, which will put the cow through a lot of pain. And not shearing the wool from sheep is also pretty much animal abuse, since wool is basically like hair. It can overgrow and the sheep can literally overheat, which can lead to the sheep having a heart attack. And also, through the overgrown wool, the sheep can develop infections through maggots. She also tends to say that vegan leather would be better for the environment, which is plainly wrong since synthetic leather has a bunch of microplastics within which can't really be recycled. I think that this will be enough for this segment to show you that Vegan Teacher is pretty much a fraud when it comes to animal rights activism, and that she actually doesn't give a shit about animals and actually doesn't know what the fuck she's even talking about. In conclusion, Vegan Teacher is the worst vegan I have seen on the internet. She's a racist, narcissistic, predatory fraud, and trust me, I only talked about a small percentage of the stuff she did. If I would talk about everything that she did, the video would go for over 5 hours. I only talked about roughly 5% of the bullshit she has pulled. But I hope the video was good enough. I'll now get to the credits. Special thanks to Indominus Pack, Flame Plasmanian, Spino Blue, Gator Boy, Spinozilla 2005, and Draken. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you all in the next Cretaceous Critiques, which will be a response to Glider Guy's video about Glutch trying to defend himself stealing a video that Glutch made. See you all next time, stay cold and goodbye.